Hi everyone, welcome back to another video review. Today we're reviewing the Ghost of Tsushima DLC, Ikishima Island. If you don't know me, my name is Delilah, aka ASSASSINA. Welcome back to my channel. Yo, Sucker Punch is just jamming out content for Ghost of Tsushima. First with the free multiplayer Legends mode, and now with Ikishima Island. Plus, this DLC offers a good chunk of content, and I really had a lot of fun. It was so nice to see Jin Sakai again. But before I dive into my thoughts on the DLC, let's take a moment to examine the director's cut upgrade. I was a bit turned off by the $10 price point for the PS5 upgrade of an older game that I've already paid for. I understand that Sucker Punch added graphical enhancements, performance improvements, and DualSense features. It's just a bit souring that a small part of the price point justification is that they were improving lip syncing, which is kind of something that should have been in the original game. And to be honest, I didn't know too much of a difference from the 60 frames patch that was included earlier this year, January 2021. And I'm gonna keep it real, what makes this harder to accept is that PlayStation's main competitor, Microsoft, has a lot more consumer-friendly practices, such as smart delivery where you can get new generation enhancements at no extra cost. Plus, Microsoft is including new releases, including their main first-party titles, within the Game Pass service. Why I make mention of this, and I did the same thing in my Yuffie DLC review, is I think it's important to look at their practices and critique them so that they can improve. But I can't lie, after my time in Iki Island, it's kinda hard to be mad. The DLC is worth every single penny. In this DLC, Jin Sakai is tasked with managing a threat on Ikishima Island, which isn't too far away from Tsushima. Through this journey, he helps the people of Iki Island, he encounters the eagle and her warriors, and he reflects on the past with his father, Kazumasa Sakai. If you're someone who really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima and you're gonna miss out on this DLC, you won't be missing any core story beats. Instead, the story feels very supplemental. It fleshes out what happened to Jin's father and how their relationship impacts Jin's current mental state. It was really interesting to have a peek into Jin's thoughts. And after completing this DLC, I'm actually clamoring for more DLC that explores the relationship between Kazumasa and Lord Shimura. So we're introduced to new characters on Iki Island, and they feel as substantial as the core main characters in Tsushima, such as Lady Masako, Norio, I actually felt some of the side missions were stronger than the main story of Iki. The weakest part of this DLC is hands down the eagle, where even though she looked really cool, her motivations seem very plot and gameplay driven. Plus, in Ghost of Tsushima, I was spoiled with antagonists that were really fleshed out and had very clear motivations. In efforts to avoid spoilers, I'll leave it at that, but I do encourage you to check out my spoiler cast with Dead Cell Media, where we get into the nitty-gritty of these characters and this story. There are also some amazing side activities and collectibles. The animal shrines are back, except now we have monkeys and kitties. In these animal shrines, there is a new feature that's added where Jin plays the flute, and the flute is controlled by the motion controls of the DualSense. This DLC also brings back bamboo strikes, haikus, and hot springs. One of them offers a beautiful new arena for a duel taking place in a cave with bioluminescent water, and the other one ties into the story in a very cool way. We also get 3 new shrines that are solved with riddles and include some really stellar Easter eggs. My only complaint about these shrines is that the riddles are way too obtuse and you really need a guide to figure them out, which can then lead to spoilers for the Easter eggs, which is a shame because the Easter eggs are dope. Thankfully, you'll be rewarded with some really cool armor skins. Probably some of my favorite skins in this game. There's also new archery challenges that are really fun, and they provide you with a charm that makes your bow really overpowered, especially if you equip the Tadayori armor along with the charm. And lastly, there's a hidden tournament full of duels that contain some of the most difficult fights in all of the game, including Tsushima. I really enjoyed how this DLC mixed up some existing side activities to make them feel a bit more refreshing, and they also added some new ones. The combat is also mixed up from the original game of Tsushima because the eagle and her warriors are super strong. Each group of enemies that you'll fight off comes with a shaman that buffs your opponents where they regenerate health and inflict a lot more damage. There's even some new enemies that switch their weapons, which then forces you to switch your stance often. Initially, the difficulty spike was annoying because I hadn't played the game since it released, so I could have really benefited from a tutorial to chip off some of the rust. And once I finally chipped off the rust, I was back in the satisfying swordplay in the game that I absolutely adore. A lock-on system was also added, but I didn't find it as useful as I thought I would, so I quickly turned it off. There's also a new horse bash ability where you can rush enemies with your horse to do massive damage, and this came in handy when you found enemies in the open world and you didn't want to bother standing off with them. You can kind of just run over them with your horse and keep it moving. I also love the new armor sets and dyes added to this DLC, but I still wish we had the option to quick switch between armor sets instead of having to go into our menu to select a different one. Ikishima Island is gorgeous. I didn't think that this game could get any more pretty, and it did it in a way that's not redundant to the original game. The water is like a lighter blue, and there's a central section full of waterfalls and purple wisteria trees. It's absolutely breathtaking. The Ghost of Tsushima Ike Island DLC is an absolute joy. It offers supplemental material to the story and mixes up gameplay in refreshing ways. If you love Ghost of Tsushima, I think you'll love this DLC too. So that's it. If you played the Ghost of Tsushima Ike Island DLC, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you liked the DLC, if you didn't like it, do you agree with me, disagree with me? If you hadn't played the DLC, is this review kind of motivating you to play it or not? Did you play the original Ghost of Tsushima? Did you like it? Did you play it for the first time? I want to know everything in the comment section below. But the most important thing is that you guys take care of yourselves and take care of each other.